This is a meeting of the Athens Board of Zoning Appeals. The time is 7:01 p.m. and the date is September 13, 2016. At this time, I will call the meeting to order. The board consists of 5 members and 2 alternates, the alternates taking full part in the discussions and becoming a voting member in the absence of a member or when a member abstains for conflict of interest. Present tonight are members Ms. Kay Towsley, Ms. Joan Kleinanski, and alternates are Mr. Ed Baum and Mr. Aaron Thomas, who will be voting members tonight. I am John Golsey, the chair. Also present are zoning administrator Mr. Rick Serois and secretary Mr. Paul Eschenbacher. At this time, I invite you to view a pre-recorded video on the rules and procedures of the board.
The Athens Board of Zoning Appeals operates according to the following procedure. The chair will name and describe the case. The zoning administrator or secretary will state the basis of the objection and any applicable facts or conditions pertaining to the case. The appellant or their representative will give reason why the appeal should be viewed favorably. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of the request will be heard. Anyone wishing to speak in general comment will be heard. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition will be heard. If necessary, the appellant or their representative will offer concluding, summary, or rebuttal remarks. Testimony from the floor shall be closed. The board will deliberate and render a decision. According to Athens City Code, Section 23.07.03b, the board has power to grant variances from the strict application of the code, provided the variance will not be contrary to the public interest, the spirit of the code is observed, public safety and welfare are secured, and substantial justice is done. According to Athens City Code, Section 23.07.10c, variances from the code shall not be granted unless the board makes specific findings of fact based directly on the particular evidence presented to it, that the standards and conditions imposed in this title, if applicable, have been met by the applicant. Exceptional circumstances. There are exceptional or extraordinary circumstances or conditions applying to the property in question or to the intended use of the property that do not apply generally to other properties or classes or uses in the same zone. Practical difficulty and undue hardship. Because of exceptional or extraordinary circumstances or conditions pertaining to a specific piece of property, a literal enforcement of these regulations will result in practical difficulty or undue hardship that is unnecessary to the achievement of public purposes. Preservation of equal property rights. Literal interpretation of these regulations would deprive the appellant of rights commonly enjoyed by others in the same zone and the same vicinity, while a granting of the requested variance will not confer on the applicant any special privilege that is denied to other properties in the same zone and the same vicinity. Minimum variance. The variance granted is the minimum variance required to make possible the reasonable use of the property. Absence of detriment. The authorizing of such variance will not be of substantial detriment to adjacent property and will not materially impair the purpose of the zoning code or the public interest. Not of a general nature. The condition or situation of the specific piece of property or the intended use of said property for which variance is sought, one or the other or in combination, is not of so general or recurrent a nature as to make reasonably practicable the formulation of a general regulation for such condition or situation. Any person, resident, or officer, department, or appointed body of the City of Athens, aggrieved by a decision of the Board, may petition the Athens County Court of Common Pleas concerning the illegality of the decision. Such petition must be filed within 30 days after the mailing of the decision of the Board to the applicant.
There is only one case on tonight's agenda, case number 1610V, the property at 35 Charles Street. The board is required to take testimony under oath. Would anyone wishing to speak concerning any item on the agenda please stand? Do you swear or affirm that any testimony you will present to the board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. Be seated. Okay, this case was postponed last month. It was originally scheduled for August 9, and we are hearing it tonight. It's case number 1610V. The property is at 35 Charles Street. Zone is R1. And Jennifer Cochran and James Hill are the appellants. Appellants are requesting a variance from ACC 23-1001, Table A, a schedule of bolt controls to allow construction of a fence with a front setback of 5 feet, where 25 feet is the minimum requirement. And Mr. Sirois, I guess the fence is already up.
Yes, sir, it is.
Anything you would like to add?
I don't have anything to add. It's all right there. It's pretty straightforward.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for the code office? Would you please come to the podium? State your name and the address for the record.
Hi, my name is James Hill from 35 Charles Street. I almost said Athens Public Library because I'm used to just saying that. So first I want to apologize for being here. When I built this fence, did not realize that it was in violation of the code. I knew there was a privacy fence or a yard fence code, but I didn't realize it applied to garden enclosures, which is what I consider this. I was just simply trying to protect some fruit trees from the deer that come down out of Sells Park every night, and I apparently got carried away.
Okay, you have a picture that there's a deer. That picture was taken behind the house, right? It was in the front.
Yeah, actually, yeah, it's on my phone. We have, in the last couple months, I have seen the same doe with 2 fawns walking through the yard, and in this particular case, when I took the picture... But behind
the house, not in the front, right?
Well, I do have pictures of both, but the picture that I took, we were eating breakfast on the back of the house, and my daughter looked up and said, "Look, there's 2 deer," and they just happened to be right there.
Okay.
It was in the neighbor's yard, because our backyard is fenced, but it's entirely shaded. There's no sun. That's why we have been planting fruit trees in the front, and the deer have been coming along and mowing them down, and I was just trying to prevent them from getting into the area where we have blueberries, fig tree, pear tree, apple tree, something else, a cherry tree.
Okay, and did you do the work yourself or somebody else did?
No, I did it myself.
Okay.
I took a couple mental health days from work because some stuff that was going on, and it was sort of my therapy was to build this fence. And that's when I didn't realize until my wife came home from work that it was in violation of the actual code.
Okay, any questions?
Yeah. You consider this a permanent fence to protect your... How many things did you say you had in that?
Well, we have a couple blueberry bushes. They're all dwarf trees, so apple tree, fig tree, and cherry tree. So however many that is, 5 or 6 fruit trees. And then while it's enclosed, we would like to plant some tomatoes and stuff. We do have a plot at the community garden on East 8th Street by the water treatment plant, but they obviously don't want you planting long-term things there. So we do have tomatoes and stuff there, but you can't plant a fruit tree there.
So you haven't tried other guards? I mean, I have flocks or herds of 9 deer coming through my yard. I have a lot of gardens and I've planted new trees, but I've been able to protect those trees with wire mesh and various other things.
Right, I could do that. And what I said, absolutely. I didn't realize that this fence was in violation of the code. I was just trying to build something that would look like what our neighbors have. And I understand theirs are in the back areas of their yard. We don't have that luxury just because of the shade trees that our neighbor's house behind us has. She has several large, mature pine trees, so our backyard is entirely shade.
Any other questions? No?
Is this would this be seasonal? Could it come down in the winter? Or
well, it is. There are 8, I think, post landscaping timbers that are set in the ground about 3 feet. The fence is not finished. They're still above the top of the fence because I didn't want to saw them off and then be told I need to take down the fence, so that way I can at least reuse the timbers if I need to. So no, it's not. It is, I guess you would say, the posts are in the ground permanently. They could come out, but it would be a lot of work to do that.
I drove up and down the street, and I didn't see anything close to it or similar to it. And if the board approves the variance, obviously you're going to be trimming the tops of those posts and maybe possibly painting something dark green that is not going to be as an eyesore as it is now.
Right, that's what I said. I didn't finish it because I got the notification that it was in violation, so I just stopped working on it until it was resolved. And I apologize for not being here last month. We had a long-standing vacation planned. And there are several things. I don't know how far up Charles Street you went, but there are other neighbors who have similar things. But like I said, they're in their larger lots, and it's in their back, so it's
I didn't
visible
see
from the
anything in the
street.
front. There was a few blocks was set like in a circular way around the tree, but that wasn't no fence.
Right.
Most of them sit back behind the houses or next to the houses.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything else you would like to say? And you would have a chance to come back again if we have another testimony.
I don't think so.
Okay, you may be seated. Now, is there anyone wishing to speak in favor of this request? Anyone wishing to speak in general comment or opposition? Okay.
Good evening. My name is Mary Abel. I'm a property owner at 36 Charles Street. One of the things that I wanted to make just some general comments on is that the structure is already in the yard there, and obviously a permanent structure with the landscaping or the timbers that are there, the pressure-treated timbers and various things. If the zoning board permits this, my concern would be that likely others would be interested in similar things, because all of us here in Athens have a deer problem. I certainly can attest to that myself, and the amount of landscaping and vegetables that I have lost. However, I think that if the zoning board is so inclined to permit this variance, then I would make a suggestion that there needs to be consistency developed within the city for such things. For example, the height of the structure, I think, needs to be considered. Whether or not that structure needs to be painted or stained or at least have some aesthetic appeal. Also, I would ask whether or not the front of that needs to have some kind of boarding or fencing, so that if there is composting, and I believe there's some composting mechanism there, I'm not sure, so that the composting, the tools, and other garden accoutrements are not visible to those around. And I think that would also be in keeping with the fact that council did legislate that garbage containers, refuge, needs to also be not in the public purview. So that would be my concern, because I do think that obviously others might be interested in the same thing, and if this is to go through, then there needs to be something that is consistent for everyone and adapted into code, so that there's no guessing about what can or cannot be done. Thank you.
Any questions? Thank you. Mr. Hale, you can add if you like.
Thanks. I agree entirely with what Mary said. A couple years ago, the city council did say that they encouraged people to grow their own food in their yard, but they did not address this issue of fencing, because after I realized that what I had done did not meet with code, I did do a little bit of research, and there does need to be some consistency across what's currently in code. And I know you're not a legislative body, but I agree with what Mary was saying. And again, the fence is not complete, so there are things that would be addressed if we're allowed to keep it. Yes.
I do have a question. Are you composting in that spot?
There is a composter, like a plastic.
Right in the front yard?
It's in the corner of the enclosure, right?
Could that not be put in the backyard? I mean,
It could be.
I mean, people do have a respect for front yard space, particularly in that area.
Yeah,
People
no,
seem to be more concerned than in others.
Right.
Although others do have concerns about what goes on in front yard space.
Do you need sun for composting?
No, it
No,
could be moved
not
to the
at
backyard.
all.
It was a new composter that we got, and I just set it in that corner. And like I said, I've not worked on the fence at all since we got the order, so I've just been waiting. But that can easily be moved.
Thank you.
Any questions, any discussions before we have a motion from someone?
I mean, the only thing what Mary discussed was what City Council was enacting with the trash cans. Well, what was going through the trash cans here a year ago.
Yeah.
So that was when I saw this. That's the first thing that came to mind because that was an issue. I don't know what happened with that, but I live in the east side area, and I have the same issue with deer in our yard, which most people in Athens do. But that was the first thing that came to mind was, how does this differ from the trash can issue that everybody was upset about when that came out. So it's kind of, but it's Athens, and a lot of people grow their own vegetables, and a lot of people don't have the benefits of having sun in their backyard either. So
Well, that's why we have the community gardens.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. It's still open to public? They can go
Yeah,
and
well,
do
there's
gardening?
west side, east side. I think there's another one. I'm not quite sure where it is, but yes, when there's space, yes.
Okay.
And they have rules and regulations, so you have to abide by. It just seems to me that there's a lot of ways to protect certain types of fruit trees and berry bushes with. And it's also peculiar that,
There are some remedies out there.
there are some remedies
Yeah.
out there, right, that this would maybe not necessarily have to be the only answer.
I know another neighbor, he built, I think, 8 or 10 foot wire gate just to keep the deer out of his garden, but it's sitting back next to the house. It's not exposed, but he had to build a gate. It's a known issue for that area. We kind of gave up planting in our house because the deer just kept eating everything. So
Well, I have over the years figured out which plants they won't eat, and
Right.
the ones that they do eat are inside fences. But yeah, there's a lot of things you can grow that they won't eat. That a lot of herbs. All my herbs I grow out, and the deer never eat them. So.
Okay, anybody would like to make a motion?
Yes, I move that the board grant a variance in case 1610V, 35 Charles Street, from ACC 231001, Table A, Schedule of Bulk Controls, to allow construction of a fence with a front setback of 5 feet, where 25 feet is the minimum requirement.
Do we have a second?
A second.
Okay, let's go through the findings. Exceptional circumstances.
I don't think there are any exceptional circumstances. I mean, it applies to virtually every property in the city of Athens,
right.
particularly at the end of Charles Street.
I was going to say possibly there's no sunlight in the back, and because of the other trees, so maybe that makes it exceptional. That's the only location that they could have a garden, maybe.
Well, they do have a garden. They have a garden over at the East Side Gardens.
By the water department.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it's.
Well, you're sitting at home, you want to go pick up
Right.
a tomato and come back inside,
I understand.
Yeah. Okay. Any other discussion on exceptional circumstances? Practical difficulty and undue hardship. Are we creating a hardship by not granting this variance? That it would not be necessary?
I think there's alternatives to a permanent fence, and this permanent fence
Right.
obviously is in front yard setback, way into the front yard setback, and at this time there are no rules and regulations governing what type of garden fences could be allowed in the front setback, and so then we could be opening a whole. So no, I don't think.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
Preservation of equal property rights. Based on what I saw today on that street, it seems that if we grant a variance, we will be granting privilege to this property. Or
Right,
granting a
and
variance.
everybody on the street has a problem with deer.
Right.
The whole neighborhood.
Right.
Minimum variance. Is this minimum variance?
Could it come back any further than 5 feet?
No, because it's in front of the house.
That's right.
Yeah. Absence of detriment. Well, we have at least one neighbor who is concerned about what may happen down the road, and not of a general nature.
This really is of a general
not.
nature. It's something that City Council might want to address, the question of fences or protection fences in the long run. I mean, there have been other cases over the last few years where either by using city right-of-way or by granting special variances, some fences have gone up in the city of Athens. It must be about 5 to 10. I can't remember the exact number. But it may be something that City Council should address.
Okay.
It'd be something to get something consistent. So
Right.
compared to somebody putting a 5-foot to a 10-foot gate up, because you never know. I mean, deer can get over a 5-foot gate.
Yeah. Okay, any other discussions before we vote? Are we ready for voting?
Yeah.
Okay. We have a shot of the whole board. All in favor of this variance, please raise your hand. I'm sorry, we have 5-0. We don't have any for the variance. Okay, let's move on to the other business. Disposition of minutes from July 12, 2016 meeting. I read it a long time ago, and it was fine at the time.
Yes.
I wasn't here, so I wouldn't know.
Okay,
I think I wasn't there either, so I guess I'm not going to be voting.
so
I was here.
you were there and you
Yeah.
were there, so
Yeah.
three of us. You move to approve the meetings of the minutes of the July 12th. All in favor, raise your hand. Okay, we got 3. Thank you. And having conducted all the business and no objections, we adjourn the meeting.